The new ToneX modeler has been out for a while, and I only just got back into making revised captures for the ToneX. The obvious question is, are there any differences between the V1 and V2 captures of the exact same amp, the exact same cap, the exact same setup? So that's what I did. I got both the V1 and V2 captures of both my AC30 and my Fender Pro Sonic-ish amps from the Helix. All that's different is the modeling used between V1 and V2. This will be a free update to the existing pack of the ToneX Helix captures, and if you already own it, do check the link and refresh it. You'll find these captures in the folder. Let's go to a new capture, and then I'm going to go amp and cab. Go to guitar. Make sure that my input-output device is the Helix. Outputs 1 and 2 correct. Output, I think this is wrong. Keep output 5 to the reamp box. This is going, input 1 is guitar. Actually, that doesn't really matter. So this is going to be the Helix. It's going to be seeing inputs 5, 6, and outputs 3, 4, as in USB input outputs. You don't really have to do this. Now I'm going to change this to space, my favorite. Turn it down in case I don't kill myself. I'm just waiting for the very end of that riff where the last transient is going to be the highest. Seems like we've got those levels correct. Capture process is going to start. Let's do that. I'm going to be doing this for the Pro Sonic, so this is going to take a while. We're going to come back after this. Now that I've captured both V2 captures of the AC30 and the Pro Sonic, actually it's a Silvertone 1484, let's go ahead and start the finalizing situation. Let's start all. I've heard this can be very long, so I'm going to go for lunch and I'll see you when I come back. Alright, that is an insane time for the training, so I'm going to make sure that I got everything closed up here. It's gonna close this guy. I don't know if it's because my laptop is an older machine or something. It's not that old. It's an M2 MacBook Pro. You know, it's the one with the aluminum body, so it's not even that old. So I'm definitely going to go for lunch.
6.5 hours later.
We're back, and here is the editor where I have loaded up both the V1 and the V2 captures on my respective ToneXs. So one of them has the V2 Rev 2 because I made a big mistake earlier on. Oh, I see a problem. I see a big problem. I got one capture here called V2 Low, and I'll explain what that is in a moment. So let's check the V2 captures. The V2 captures are those in pink, and the blue are going to be your V1 captures on both ToneXs. So this is the AC30 ToneX, and when I switch to the other one, you got the V2, Rev 2, and a V1. As for the effects, everything is turned off except the compressor. So what you're hearing right now, in fact, I should turn this off too, turn off the noise gate. Everything that you're hearing is just the compressor and into the ToneXs. Out of tune. Let's tune up. And while we're tuning up, why don't I just give you a brief rundown of my rig. This rig is the updated ToneX One rig, as you can see. I have updated it so that I can, and fully maximize the layout. I wanted to include the Digitech drop. I use that in lieu of a capo, and for me, I just love down tuning to get those F sharps, E flats. And then I wanted to incorporate the noise gate as well. And the only way I could do that, because the Iron Curtain is quite a chunky pedal, is to lay it on its side. And as a result, I had to put the ToneXs on their side too. I love the fact that it's got that nice grit I like with, the slightly overdriven tone with amps. That was V2. V1, which are the pedals in blue. The louder. What I'm hearing is that there's a bit more low end and a bit more volume with the V1 captures. I'm going to try and turn some overdrive on them and a light drive, the Morning Glory V4. And because now I've got a bit overdrive, I'm going to turn the noise gate on as well. love that sound. Versus the V2s, I'm gonna turn that on. I feel like it's more compressed. The V2s feel like there's more bottom end because there's more compression going on. I'm not sure why, because both the V1 and V2s, I essentially captured them exactly the same way. Maybe during the capture process, that little test phase where, you've got the live input or the recorded input, I think that changed a little bit in that there's less gain in the V2 capturing process. Just so that I'm not crazy, I'm going to go to the V2s and try to do the same thing with that little lead line. Not as fluid as the V1s, I think. I think for dry stuff, the V1s sound like they've got a little bit extra kick happening, especially with their lower mids and the lower end. But with the V2s, it's slightly cleaner. Let's see how the V2s stack out with the effects in front of them. So I'm going to turn on the reverb and delay. And this is going to be P and W levels, so it's going to be quite heavy on the delay reverb side. You'll turn it out a bit more. I like how this sounds. There's a little bit of sizzle, the delay and reverb crunching up. It's quite nice. With the V2s, I think they crunch up a lot faster. Just to bring it home, I am going to apply even more effects on it. Crank up that reverb. So let's hear this. And so when I go back to the V1s and I do exactly the same thing, I should expect a bit more saturation, a bit more compression. In fact, it might be a bit too overbearing. Yes, that bottom end and compression is really making that pad sound very big and sometimes I think can be a bit overwhelming. Instead of an either or situation, I'm going to keep both. The V1s are going to be for when I need a bit more volume, a bit more mid compression, whereas the V2s I'm going to be using for most of the time where I need slightly less volume, a bit more articulation with the, especially with the effects. Here is the very noob reason why there are low versions of the captures. You see, in the capturing process, you are told to turn the gain down during the sampling process. Like before the captures, you have to play something to make sure that your gain levels are set right. The modeler was telling me that my signals were too hot, so I had to lower the gain. But instead of lowering the gain post-amp, I lowered the gain pre-amp. Now, amps are very reactive to whatever's upstream of it. If you have a hot signal, your amp distorts and reacts differently than if you have a cold, very low signal coming in, and your amp is basically like a clean PA. None of those breakup characteristics will happen with a low signal, and that's precisely what happened. I had such a low signal going to the Helix that the resulting captures were super clean. It's sparkly clean, zero gain whatsoever. The only way they can get gain out of them is to crank up your distortions or overdrives in front of your signal chain. The trade-off with amps at the edge of breakup is that if you have any delays or reverbs before them, you're gonna get that wet section saturation happening. Whereas if you have very, very clean amps, that's not gonna happen anytime soon. Just based on today's escapades comparing my V1 and V2 captures, I think that the V2 captures are cleaner, they have less compression, and they bring a little bit more of that sense of articulation and sparkle. This is what I'm feeling under my fingers, and this is what I'm hearing from my monitor speakers right here. But that's me. How about you? Do you hear any difference between the V1 and V2 captures? Which one do you prefer? The older V1 captures or this present V2 captures? Let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I'll see you in this playlist of my ToneX videos.